So Sunday marks the last race in the F1 calendar, and still a three-way battle for the Drivers' Championship, with Lando Norris leading Max Verstappen by 12 points and Oscar Piastri by 16 points. However, if they do equal on points at the end of the championship, it will be based on countback. So currently, all three drivers have 7 race victories, and if Verstappen or Piastri win, if mathematically they are equal to Lando Norris, they would win the championship because they'd have 1 race victory greater. If those two drivers came second, they wouldn't be able to beat Norris on countback because he's got 8 second places as opposed to the current 5 and 4 second places, which would then promote him to 6th and 5 respectively. Equally, if Piastri equals Max Verstappen, then the second place tally would be equal, 5 apiece, and he would win on 3rd places. So from Piastri's point of view, you'd have to finish in the top 2 to have a chance of winning the championship, from which ideally if he'd won the race, doesn't matter where Verstappen finishes, as long as Norris finishes P6 or worse. Whereas if Piastri finishes second, Verstappen would have to finish 4th or worse, and Norris finishing 10th or worse on a single point. Any other result for Piastri would mean the championship over. From Verstappen's point of view, he'd have to finish on the podium to keep the championship alive. Failing to do so, he can't win the championship. If Verstappen wins the race ideally, doesn't matter where Piastri finishes, Norris would have to be 4th or worse. If Verstappen finishes second, Piastri would have to finish behind him, and Norris would have to finish 8th or worse. Whereas Verstappen finishes 3rd, Piastri cannot be allowed to win the race, but he can beat Verstappen by being in 2nd place. Whereas Norris would have to finish 9th or worse. 4th simply isn't good enough for Verstappen. Now from Norris's point of view, if he finishes on the podium, it's game over. Piastri and Verstappen are powerless. If Norris finishes 4th or 5th, Piastri's powerless, and Verstappen, if he finishes 2nd or worse, it's Norris's championship. Norris finishes 6th, Piastri would have to finish 2nd or worse. Same with Verstappen. If Norris finishes 7th, Piastri would have to finish 2nd or worse. And if Verstappen finishes 2nd, they'd be equal on points, and it would be down to countbacks, and Norris gets it by default. Norris finishes 8th, Piastri would have to finish 2nd or worse, or Verstappen 3rd or worse. If Norris finishes 9th, if Verstappen finishes 4th or worse, if Piastri finishes 2nd, he can only equal on points, again losing out on countback. And finally, if Norris finishes 10th, i.e. scoring a single point, he's won the championship. If Piastri finishes 3rd or worse, and Verstappen 4th or worse, if Norris fails to score, and Piastri's still 3rd or worse, and Verstappen is 4th, Norris would win on countback. Any other scenarios are the race fails to reach 25% distance, the race is deemed to be null and void, therefore Norris wins by default. Or the race fails to reach 75% distance, therefore half championship points are given, and therefore Verstappen would have to win the race and Norris failing to score to win by half a point. Enjoy the race.